For tuning in to Coder Conversations once again. Today we have Brian Freed, inventor, coach, author, and much more. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Kevin and Brian.
Right, and we also have Brian Russick.
How you doing, guys? Brian Russick, professional drummer, drum teacher based out of Suffolk County, Long Island, New York. You can find me on the web at brianrussick.com.
And where can people find you, Brian Freed?
BrianFreed.com. Spell it BRIAN, F as in Frank, RIED.com.
Awesome. Just to get things started off, we usually like to ask our guests to introduce themselves and give a little bit of background. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, to start off with, I'm an inventor. I have 15 patents that I have licensed some of my inventions, which means that I earn royalties from them, or I have earned royalties. I
Awesome.
manufacture products. Thank you. I manufacture products locally here in the US and overseas. And I've been working with other inventors professionally now for 19 years. I was an
Wow.
on-air guest on QVC for about 3 years with my own inventions and helping other inventors launch their products on QVC. I've authored 3 books. My latest one is called How to Make Money with Your Invention Idea. I also am the founder of National Inventor Club. I started inventor groups, I think it was 17, 18 years ago, and I merged them to online, which is now the National Inventor Club for about fifth year now.
Oh,
And
wow.
one of my latest inventions is I invented an app for inventors called Inventor Smart Community that's available on Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And it's our very own social media. So inventors have an idea, they can come on there, they network with each other, collaborate, communicate with each other, private message each other, just really inspire each other. But there's
Yeah,
also
that's
great
unique.
resources. Thank you. There's also great resources on there and connect up to what they need to keep their inventions moving forward.
Nice.
Amazing. That seems like a really interesting career, because I know with inventions, it's not necessarily stable. Like you have to kind of, you get the idea and then you got to go get it to market, but it's not like a steady paycheck coming in, correct? Until you get royalties.
Well, you know what? You know what, Kevin? It's like you wake up and you're in a career, right? You're doing your thing, and it's not like you said, "I'm gonna be a professional inventor," right? Most of the time, you're in some kind of situation where it's like, well, for me, it's like, you know what? That annoyed me. I want to come up with something, or do I wait for somebody else to come up with it? But there's people
Yeah.
out there that will work on it and come up with it for themselves. But think about all the things that you do during the day, right? You wake up, you're brushing your teeth, you're in the bathroom, whatever else you do, and then you're downstairs in the kitchen, and then you're outside, right? Or you're making a sandwich. Maybe you're going to a restaurant for lunch or whatever. Then you're in the car, you're taking public transportation or a bus, whatever it is. Like all these things are going on. And you can even be a people watcher, right? You see things that other
Sure.
people are doing, things that you're doing, and things that you can figure out maybe that could be done a little bit better, or watching other people to do better. And that's really the creativity that comes out, where you have to say, you know what, stop and maybe think about how to do that. And that's where the invention all begins.
It's interesting you mentioned people watching. I used to play drums outside, hand percussion. I had like a double bongo set up in downtown LA, and I just used to watch people for hours. And it's just really interesting what you notice.
Absolutely. But what's also amazing about being an inventor, and for me, I think everybody's an inventor, because it doesn't matter who you are, right? We were talking a little earlier. You can be the smartest person. You can be, a custodian. You could be a lawyer. You could be a senior citizen or a student. At some point or another, you're coming up with an idea. But are you the one that's going to stop and take action, or you're going to be the woulda, coulda, shoulda somebody says, that was my invention 20 years ago,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah, that's
Has that
a
happened to you guys?
yeah. We all had ideas. That's a great point that you mentioned that you don't necessarily think I'm going to be a quote unquote inventor. It's just like over the course of the day, over the course of your career, ideas just pop in your head, and some people act on it, some people don't. Like for example, I would say even this podcast is a invention in a way.
You're absolutely right. So that's the thing. It's You can turn your idea into a side hustle. You don't have to necessarily quit your day job, right? Just like a business, you want to start a business because when you come up with an idea and an invention, you're really starting your own business because it's the research and development and everything else, or you're investing in your business and you're
Sure.
figuring it out if it's something that's viable and worth it for you to invest your time, money, energy, effort into it to see if it's worth it to keep moving forward. So,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, I know a lot of people they have these ideas, but just from your experience, like why do a lot of people just get stuck at the ideation phase? Like where do they usually fail to move forward?
I think a lot of people what they do is they come up with an invention and they say, "Oh my goodness, Kevin and Brian, I came up with the most amazing invention. I think it's going to completely change my life. I'm going to be a gazillionaire, and you're going to be proud to know me." What happens is they start to work on it, and maybe they don't necessarily. It's something new. It's the first time, and they start working. For me, like the way I look at it, it looks like they're starting at step 6, 7, or 8, and they're not starting at step 1. So what might happen is, you know what? Maybe I went down the aisle at Walmart and I didn't see my invention on the shelf or hanging up, and I go, "Oh my goodness. Nobody in the world has my invention because it's not in Walmart." Well, that's a good
A
start, right?
lot of
But
other
and then
stores to check out. Yeah.
and then you could say, "You know what? I am online and I'm searching and I come up with a page or whatever, and all of a sudden I don't see it because I search for something that really is not that great of a search." And so what the point I'm making is that you have to be real and you have to be straight up to know that, is this an idea that I can call my own? Is this something that I might be able to get some intellectual property protection on, like a patent? Am I going to do something with this to be able to create a business? Maybe I want to manufacture it and sell it myself and start a business, or maybe start a brand. Or do I not want to quit my day job? Do I want to, I come up with this idea. I don't know anything about the industry. And why don't I come up with it, get it to a point where I can go to a company that has similar products like I invented and see if they're interested in adding my product to their product line where they manufacture it, they distribute it, and I earn a royalty from it. So that's
Wow.
called licensing. I know a lot of people watch Shark Tank and they hear Mr. Wonderful. So Mr. Wonderful is, that type of mindset with the licensing. Um, and just kind of working with, they already have built-in distribution, right? So you're earning a percentage
That's
of
amazing.
most of the time of the wholesale price. But sometimes people think like, yeah, making 25 cents per unit there, and then if I sell it myself, I might be able to make $3, $4 per unit. But that's greater risk,
Right.
greater reward, right?
Right.
You got to
Absolutely.
handle all the logistics, all the returns, the shipping, the hand bar, all that stuff is all your responsibility. So and that's the thing also, guys. It's like when I talk to somebody, I've been kind of termed as the inventor coach. And when I talk to people and they say, "Hey, Brian, I got this great invention." Okay, well, let's figure it out. Let's see if it's something that you should work on. And a lot of times people are working on their invention for a long time. And in 30 seconds or less, I see their invention online immediately.
Oh,
So
no.
there's certain people that, um, when we're going through their idea, we kind of hit a brick wall. So are you going to make it different enough? And of course, I sign a non-disclosure agreement, so I don't talk about my idea to anybody without their permission. So either we hit a brick wall and we're able to turn a little bit to the side and see if there's an open door to get through it or around it, or are you and maybe you're just going to stop right there, or is it something that we can move forward with, and then starting to go through the process and the steps of making sure that it is something that you could call your own. Because if it is, and you do your due diligence, you make a prototype, and we can go through all those steps. But when you do have some intellectual property protection like this patent, you have more options and you have a bit more control of what you're doing, because a lot of times people will invent something that's not necessarily theirs, and maybe they made a little bit of a difference, but is it something that you can protect? Because if not, you can make the same thing as me. Maybe you make it cheaper and now I'm out of business, or you took my opportunity away. So having a patent gives me the right to make my product and put people on notice that they shouldn't be making it because it's mine. And
Right,
that's
right,
for
right.
20 years, right? For a utility patent, and for a design
Yeah.
patent, it's 15 years, and that's ornamental. So I have better options. I can license my intellectual property. I can make it, and if somebody does try to knock me off, I have proof to show that I was the first one and I have a patent.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it definitely sounds like you have to do your due diligence, like you mentioned. One, seeing if the idea is already out there, and then if you decide to proceed, that you're able to protect your idea so that nobody else just rips it off.
Absolutely. And look, you we could be talking about a product that's a kitchen gadget or a medical device, or I know your audience is also made up of programmers and designers. So there's people that come to me with app ideas, and I've had the experience of working, running an app also. And a lot of times people uh, are not aware of how much it takes to build an app, and also to run an app and maintain it. So it's it's challenging. Like, I suggest to a lot of people that maybe you start off with a website and you figure out. And when you think about it, you both know Priceline, right? Priceline.com.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
If you go on Priceline.com's website, I think they still have it at the bottom where you could see their patent number. So they have a process or a method of the way that they handle their website. So it is possible to get patents and protection on your method or process of how your algorithms or your coding type of things work. But if you're on Apple and Google Play stores, you're open, right? Your source codes are all open. People could see how it is that you're how what you're developing. So you want to
Yeah.
try to get some IP, or you want to have a really good marketing platform to get yourself out there first to build that brand recognition. And on top of that, talking about intellectual property, maybe it's a trademark. You come up with a good name, and that's where you build it, where it's catchy. You're marketing that, and you're first in that field, or that, like, you could come up with the same thing and have a good trademark name and be able to get a good win, opportunity of audience for that too.
And
Awesome.
for those who aren't necessarily proficient, what's the difference between a trademark and a patent?
uh I'll start with a trademark. So I have a bunch of inventions around by me, and I also have my brand name. So my brand name is something that I can trademark, right? So I have, let's say, Inventor Smart is my trademark, and that's a service mark, let's say, because I have services that I offer. Or maybe I use Inventor Smart on shirts. That's class 25, so apparel, right? And I could put Inventor Smart either as a word mark, or I can have a logo to describe how, and the trademark describes how the look of the logo is with the word Inventor Smart in it. But I have a word mark because I can use that for anything. So a word mark, in my opinion, is stronger because you can kind of mix different logos around it. So that's kind of the way. And look, I speak to a lot of people, let's say even in the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, And they've given examples like Brown, UPS, right? That's a trademark. Sound, different sounds from brands can also be a trademark. So those type of things where it's brand recognition in a certain class of goods is what you can protect. On the other side with patents, so it's got to be novel and non-obvious. And by the way, I'm not a patent attorney. I'm not no legal advice here. This is just my opinion and my experience doing this for 20 years already.
Right.
But I'm still learning. Anyway,
Yeah.
uh, a patent, um, there's a few different types of patents, and the one that's most popular. So you hear the utility patent. So it starts off where you can file a. Let's say I come up with this cool pen, and it has a light bulb on top, and it does all kinds of interesting things, right? So I can file what's called a provisional patent application, and that gives me the right for 1 year to say that I'm patent pending while I'm exploring the market, seeing if there's an opportunity. And I can say that this pen with a light bulb and all this stuff is patent pending, right? Would I get a patent or not? Maybe, maybe not. There's nobody at the patent office, US Patent and Trademark Office, that's going to be reviewing a provisional patent application. It's just a filing date. So within the year, I have to file a non-provisional patent application. That goes in front of an examiner. That also has claims in it, which is almost like real estate, where it has like meets and bounds, like, what you're kind of protecting. That's what you're going after. So you want to try to get as many claims as possible so you could call those your own. Or is it a design patent? Is it the utility? I'm sorry, is it just the design? Is it ornamental? So those are the type of things. So utility patent is 15 years. It has the claims. It has maintenance fees that you have to pay to keep it active. And a design patent is ornamental. It's for 15 years and there's no maintenance fees. So
Oh, nice.
those are the type of kind of the basics. And you might hear copyright. So maybe you make a recipe book, or you make instructions, or you have a logo, like logos that you want to copyright. They can also be trademarked. Again, I'm not giving legal advice, but I could go on with these things. But there's on the US Patent and Trademark Office site, it's a great resource, uspto.gov. If you're an entrepreneur or inventor, at some point you want to protect your intellectual property. It's a great idea to go on the website. There's different training things on there. There's great information. I know AI can do everything these days, but you can get it from the source also, uspto.gov. And it's important to build assets up in your business as you're moving along, and have that to be able to, whether you're selling it or building it, it just that it builds value.
Right.
So how broad is the protection of the patent? So for example, you mentioned the pen with the light on it. Like if you have a competitor, is he able to, okay, also make a pen with a light on it, but it's like a different type of light or a slightly different design, or?
Are you trying to rip me off already? It's
Yeah.
my idea. It's my idea.
Yeah.
um,
Right.
that's something that I would leave to legal to say, you know what? It's also first to file. So if I file this first and you do it afterwards, if I continue and I get a patent, you're realistically not going to get one, right? But if
Right.
that's the challenge, is like there's a lot of what ifs there. I don't know if I want to go there at this point, but if yours is enough of a difference than mine, then yes, you can have a right to file a patent and to try to get one also.
Well,
And
and I think something
yep,
you were mentioning earlier is that, people, they think they have this like great idea, this really original idea, and they're walking through Walmart and they're like, all right, it's not on the shelves. Like it must not exist. But then, you go on Amazon or IKEA and boom, there it is.
yes, and that's the important part. Remember, I was saying earlier that you can be online and looking through pages of, and I like to search for images and see if my idea exists. I kind of put in a descriptive term to see if my idea pops out. And if and a lot of people will close their eyes and go, I don't see it. Let's go. I'm going to be a gazillionaire, right?
Yeah.
But you got to be
Right.
realistic. So for me,
Right.
talking inventor to people, and I show them that realistically their idea already exists 1,000 times out there. Do you want to spend your money and go in a big circle and end up where you are right now with less? Or do you want to work on something that's your own? So if you're in that zone, and you guys are now, like you're talking about this being an inventor, once you start inventing, you guys are continuing to keep talking to each other, going, you know what? I have an idea for something else. I have the idea for the next big thing that we're doing. I have an idea for how we can structure this and make this even better. And that's what inventors do. We're innovative, we're creative, right? We're entrepreneurs, and we're finding ways to attract an audience and how to monetize that. And those are the things that we do, right?
So yeah, I think like an interesting pivot. Just speaking of other countries, there's some countries where there's not like you could protect your idea, but in that country, let's just say China, for example, they might just ignore it and copy it. Is there anything you can really do, or do you just pretty much have to accept that's
Well,
part of the
I,
game?
I could tell you that some of my inventions I have patents on, and they were ripped off by factories overseas. And I show Amazon that I have a patent, and they took them right down. There was a
Wow.
little bit of a process, but they took them down. So if I didn't have a patent, I couldn't do that, right? I
Yeah.
know everybody has different opinions on or people, might have different opinions on patents and intellectual property, but I feel like I would rather have it than not, right? Um, I keep showing. I'm thinking about all the inventions that are kind of around me, that I want to pull up. But it's important for the audience to know that the research and development, like coming up with an idea, is step one, but going through and bringing your idea out of your head, physical, is good. CAD file. If it's people come to me with cool apparel,
Yeah.
right? So that's a cut and sew. You don't have to have like cat. You could, but I'm saying, like, you can come up with things and you can pull things from things that already exist to be able to kind of make something work or look like what you're thinking about, and then figuring out how to protect it, and then thinking about, is this something that you're going to manufacture yourself and start your own business and find a factory and make it and put your barcoding and packaging on it and
It's a
the
lot of what
logistics of
ifs.
shipping it
It's
from.
a huge
Right.
number of
There's
what
a lot of
ifs.
what
Yeah,
ifs.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Or you say, you know what? I'm staying in my lane. I have this career, and there's somebody else in this industry that knows what they're doing and handles that stuff, and I'll earn a royalty from it. But, in my opinion, not everything is licensable. Anything is possible, but it's got to be an A product. They got to be able to look at it and say, I'm going to sell enough of these things to make it worth your while and our while. Because if they like it, that's great. But they also have to work with their design team. They also have to work with their marketing team. They have to think about the packaging and all that type of stuff. Then they have to get their sales team on board. Then the sales team has to pitch it to the
Mm.
buyer. So I recently had an invention that I was representing as a licensing agent for an inventor. I got a deal, loved it, happy. The lady's ecstatic, right? They have distribution in Walmart, Target, major retailers.
Awesome.
Beautiful. We end up getting a deal. And the next thing you know, we go through all this, the packaging, everything is beautiful, samples, amazing. They show it to the buyers, and the buyers go, I don't get
Mm.
it. We don't want it. And we were like, well, can you sell it online? They're like, it's not
Wow.
worth, terminated the agreement.
Wow.
And then on the other side, there's, you go through this and you show it to them and they love it and they want it and they go through all those things and they love it. And we do the deal and we end up getting into major retail stores. So and then we earn royalties, and that's great too.
Yeah.
So I get to do that for myself, and I get to represent other inventors, and other inventors want to manufacture, so I can work with them to turnkey manufacture. And I can, people come to me at all different stages, and I find out about them. I learn about their product. I figure out where they are, or they tell me where they are, and then I help them to get to where they want to go. that's my job, and that's what I've become an expert in. And it really doesn't matter what industry I'm working on, wind turbines to simple kitchen gadgets and all kinds of fun stuff and medical devices. It doesn't matter. And apps that we're private labeling and just doing all kinds of fun inventions. And it's with people all over the world and any race or nationality or what, it doesn't matter. Everybody out there is an inventor.
Amazing. So yeah, we got a lot of software listeners, and yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of them they're developing their own application. As they say, loose lips sink ships. So like before they start telling people about their idea, how soon in the process, like should they start patenting their idea? Like, okay, I have an MVP now, let me patent this. Or
I think it's not the easiest to get a patent on software, but it is possible. You need to work with a patent attorney or a patent agent, and it's really easy to ask them for references or for them to show you patents that they've actually gotten in software to justify that that's a fact. It's very easy. Again, if you go to uspto.gov and you search by the patent attorney or agent's name, you could see what patents they actually have gotten
Oh,
issued
wow.
for their clients,
Interesting.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've done that. But if you can get it, then that's great. If you can't and you're or it's difficult, then it's good to get non-disclosure agreements signed, okay? Which means that you're not going to talk about your idea to anybody without your permission or their permission. NDA, you hear, non-disclosure agreement, mutual non-disclosure agreement, MDNA, right? NDA. Um, so there's different ways to protect yourself. Sometimes you, I think you can consider a copyright. I'm not sure. That's a lot of code. Maybe not. So I'm not going to go there for that one. But I think the trademark name is really good. I think that's really the gold. Look, a lot of the games that you see out there, right? For the programmers and the coders and the gamers out there, like you see a lot of versions of the same type of game out there, right? But the one that's the biggest one, let's say, is Candy Crush, right? But you see 100 versions of it, but people still want to play Candy
Right.
Crush. So, those type of ways, strategies could be to protect it. But yes, if you can get IP, intellectual property protection, it would be in your best interest if
Or
you
like
could.
something like a game like Call of Duty. There's a lot of people that will try to duplicate that same kind of feel, but they don't come, anywhere near close to it.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a fine line. I think there's a lot of apps and a lot of banking technology and security and all these different things are really tough. But if you can get it, then that's definitely worth it for sure.
so yeah, someone in the audience mentioned like patents versus trade secrets. Each one has their pros and cons. Do you know about that?
Right. Yeah. I think that could be good also. I'm not very well versed with trade secrets, but that could be something also that you might want to consider. And again, I have patent attorneys and patent agents for practically every type of situation, so I would leave it to them. And a lot of times I try to kind of listen into the calls also, so I learn. But I haven't heard enough of those to be able to be accurate with what I say.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's our longtime listener, Eric Bird. Hey, welcome to the show, Eric. But yeah, just to
What's up, Eric?
get back into it. So like software you mentioned, it can be very expensive to develop. Somebody might have this awesome software idea, and paying developers not cheap. So something that I've seen people do is they try to get like, oh, some college kids trying to break into the industry and utilize the volunteer aspect to get them to build the app. Is there like a legal liability to doing that, like having somebody work for free?
Yeah, well, I think you need to establish the understanding with each other and expectations. So there's work for hire, which is really important, right? And also you might have an idea and then they expand the idea, and then is it their idea or are they still working for you from your idea expanding? So these are things that you need to kind of lay out there from the start. It's a lot easier to do that from the beginning than somewhere along the way, and turning into a battle. So I think that just figuring out, yeah, I mean, you can find freelancers, work for hire. You can find companies. A lot of times also when I'm working, like I have a lady who has a very unique. It's not a dating app. It's something around kind of meeting. So what we did was we found a platform that already exists, and we're private labeling it to what she wants, and dressing it up and adding a little bit more, and that's a quicker way to market. Then somebody else can say, I think this would be an amazing app. And then I start talking to them about the programming that's needed for the apps and how much investment and maintenance and everything
Sure.
else. Or can you start off with an MVP? Can you start off with a website
Right.
and see? It's almost like act as if like that's an app.
Like test it out, see how it does.
Test it
Yeah.
out.
So in software, like it's really easy for somebody to quote unquote steal your product. Maybe somebody knows how to hack, they can go and clone the GitHub, etc. Like what are some ways that you found that people need to take to really protect their software to make sure somebody's not ripping it off?
I think when you're in that position, you should definitely speak to a patent attorney. I think that's the best advice that I can give, rather than mine. And uh, doing a patent search. So if there are patents that are out there that are similar to the software method that you're working on or that you came up with, that you could see how much of a difference yours is versus what's already existing, to know that you're going to get that protection. Because if you're not, are you going to keep moving forward with it and keep going, and it's going to take somebody maybe 2-3 years down the line to come up with what you did, and you have that head start? Or is it something that's so easy to copy that is it something that's gonna make you money? Is there a bigger picture of what you're doing to make a difference? Or is somebody gonna do the same thing? And that's a lot of times when I'm working on something for myself or another inventor, it's like, if we're inventing something or we're coming up with something and we know realistically that we're not gonna get a patent on it, and it might be too easy to copy, we're not gonna do it. It's gonna turn into a commodity. So it's good to have like interesting type of products that, if you could get some IP protection, intellectual property protection, then try and do it.
So, have you ever had the experience of a situation like you have maybe like two buddies, they're kind of ideating, they're working on something together. Let's just go with the software example. Two guys are kind of playing around, creating an idea, creating, and like software, but it's open source for now. And then one guy jumps ahead and patents the whole thing. Is like how does that typically work?
That sounds like that's a tough situation, I guess, right? If you're working on something together, um, that's illegal. Th- Sounds like, again, a lot of what ifs. I don't know all the possible details that could happen, but when you're working on something and you're starting a business relationship with somebody, it's probably good to set expectations up, get something in writing, and maybe all of a sudden one of you is doing more than the other. And now you're getting resentful that you're working harder than the other. Is there something in that clause to get you out? Is it kind of earning percentages uh over time and over effort that's put in? And then, maybe you earn 5% and you're like, you know what, I'm done with this. All right. So now you didn't give up 50% up front,
Yeah.
right? There's a couple of these terms with invest, like the way that people invest, vesting and all these type of things to work on partnerships. Maybe you create an LLC or a different type of corporation to figure out how it is that's going to be split up that you're both responsible for. But there should be something that if somebody doesn't hold their weight, that there's got to be a way out, or for either of
Right.
you.
Now, what about something like podcasts, for instance?
Uh-oh. Is there something I should know about you two?
No.
No, no, no.
You guys all right? You on good
Yeah.
terms? I'm only kidding. I feel like I turned into a lawyer here. I'm
Yeah.
not.
I
I'm not
promise
a
you.
lawyer. I'm an
I
inventor.
promise you.
You guys are quizzing me like I'm on the stand. No, what about a podcast? I mean, you have your name, which is could be a trademark,
Okay.
right? You have maybe designs that could be protected as as copyrights, which are easy to file. The content and everything that you're all doing is probably copyrighted. You know what I mean? So that those are some forms of intellectual property.
Okay.
So, okay, yeah, let's go back to the software example. So you have this software developed, you have everything, trademark, copyrighted, etc. Got an MVP. Uh, so from there, how do people typically get it to market and start getting users? Like, how should they undertake the marketing phase if they have a little?
It's I mean, that's, you can have the idea and you can build it, and now what?
Now what?
It's like
Yeah.
for myself and right? For myself and other inventors, like, when we decide to manufacture a product, it's like, "Okay, do we have a plan, to be able to sell these things, or do we just look up and see 3,000 units in our garage and go, 'Now what?'"
Yeah,
So, you wanna be able to
the
have
sales part. Yeah, I
right,
mean, I used to
that's
work in
right.
sales myself, the sales part of a company is huge. You gotta be able to push
There's
that
a
product, whatever it is.
right. So it's like, a lot of inventors, including myself when I first started, it's like, oh my gosh, I came up with this idea. Now I'm working with engineers and prototypers and patent people with legal stuff and wheeling and dealing, trying to get licensing deals or working with factories and learning about different ABS, polypropylene, polystyrene, all these different things I never knew in my life, right? How all these things were made, and now all of a sudden it's like there's a lot to know. Then you got to sell, right? How are you going to sell? Well, these days you don't have to be in a major retail store to sell. You could be online, and that's the beauty of it. So if you have software, just like my app, for example, I had a community already from National Inventor Club and things that I do that I can kind of, encourage them to join my app. I can also do social media. I can have a landing page and drive ads to my social media to my landing page to sign up for my app. Right? There's the App Store promotions that you could do to build up some ranking and build up some advertising there when somebody puts in a keyword. I think if you're all programmers, I'm sure at some point you kind of figure out the SEO and the advertising, and that's really important. But I think just trying to a lot of people just create something and just put it up and expect everybody to
Right.
come. Same thing with inventions, like, okay, you got a patent, now I'm gonna be a gazillionaire. It doesn't work like that, it's
It's
just
not
the
that
beginning.
easy.
You gotta get
Yeah, it's
people to
not that
know,
easy.
like and then once you do, it's also not easy. So is it okay? I'll show you a couple of my products, and I'm gonna make a
Oh,
point, for
yeah, we'd love
example.
to see
So,
them.
like, this is, one night I came home, I had leftovers and there was no room left in my fridge. And I opened up the fridge and I saw a carton of eggs and I opened it and I'm like, one freaking egg left in here? That's ridiculous. All that space for one egg. So I threw it out. I took the egg, I moved it to the side, and I was like, what can I do here? I put my leftovers, but it turned out that I came up with this collapsible egg tray,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So this sits on the shelf, right? And you put your eggs in, and as you take your eggs out, it goes to this much space that you need in your fridge, right? It fits small to jumbo eggs. It's got, it slides, it's nice, it's all good. But when I make this and I put it on Amazon, for example, how you going to know about it, Brian? How you going to know about it?
Exactly.
So I
Where's
get
the
like, who's
marketing?
going on
Yeah,
Amazon
where's the
going,
marketing?
who's going online saying, I am going to on Amazon looking for a collapsible egg tray. By the way, it's called Extra Space.
Very
Extra
nice.
Space. EGGS. Um, so that's my point. So I gotta advertise when you're going on Amazon to look for an egg storage container or egg something, then I'm gonna say you might consider this and you might buy it. So how much am I gonna spend for you to buy it until I say, you know what? Am I spending more in advertising than I'm making on this thing? So I have to watch it and balance to be able to get those orders. If they go on my website, I know it's easier too because I don't have to pay the
Yeah.
commission. You know, here's a fun one also that's cranking. I actually sold out and I'm waiting for my next shipment. There's a few more left actually that are still available. But during COVID, my paper towels and paper and toilet paper, right? How crazy was it that we couldn't get anything? So I was like treasuring everything and I was watching what people were doing a little bit more than usual, especially in my house. So I noticed that usually when your hands are wet or dirty, right? You have a paper towel stand. When your hands are wet or dirty, you put it on top of the paper towel roll to pull the sheet off, right? And I started to ask my friends and family what the top of their paper towel rolls look like. Send me something. Oh, what are you up to now, Freed? Tell me, you know. I'm like, just send it to me, right? It was disgusting. It looks something like this. This is exaggerated, okay? Wet,
Yeah.
dirty, chocolate, tomato sauce, dirt from
Yeah.
outside, you know, water dried up, orange juice, disgusting. So what I did was I came up with something really simple, and I have a patent on it. It goes into it's a cap that has these curvy type of tabs, and it goes into the inner tube of any paper towel roll. So now when your hands are wet or dirty, you put it on top, it stays clean
Wow.
and
I
dry.
really like that.
Paper towel papertoweltopper.com or paper towel
Oh,
topper.
wow.
And you know, when I was developing this, you know, I get people's feedback and I hear some people wanted me to do it in colors and everything else. But sometimes you'll have a metal, you know, chrome or brass or bronze or brushed nickel and blah 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 and white ones and blue one. So I just came up with a clear one and it just sits on top like it's almost meant to be.
Right.
So
Oh, it's
it's
awesome.
fun. And then I've had other products on QVC and you know, I put lessons, you know, I wouldn't mind going over this one for a lesson for people, whether it's their programming, a product. So you know the bread loaves, right? You have like the little twist ties or those plastic tabs,
Sure.
right? When you take that plastic tab off, how do you put it back on? It's ridiculous. I don't know how to put it. Or the twist tie, right? You don't know which way to twist it. It pokes me, whatever. So I was like, my bread's left open. It annoyed me. So I came up with this thing called a pull tie. I had my daughter's draw lock, right? When she was younger. Now she's 23. It was a draw lock, and then it also this sliding thing is up and down, and I got this from my sweatpants that I was wearing. So I came up with this product, and now you could take it and you can take any plastic bag, cereal bag, freezer bag, you put it through the loop, you push the button, you pull it up, and it seals it tight. So I sold millions of units of this,
Wow.
and it was in practically every major retailer, Target, Walmart, all there. And what's interesting in the story, I like to kind of share the lesson because that's why I do all this, is because if I went on QVC and I said, "Hey, Kevin and Brian, this is for bread, only for bread. Maybe you eat bread, maybe you don't eat bread, maybe that one eats bread, they don't." But if I say, you know what, you can use this on cereal bags. You know, like instead of crunching it down, my cereal was getting, you know, like stale, and then you open up your freezer and you see that the club bags of like french fries or mixed vegetables are left open. You're trying to find ways to close it. So I said this could be used for your bread, your cereal, in the freezer, in the pantry.
Wow.
How many people have a kitchen? How many people have a kitchen? Ding, 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 right? That's your window of opportunity. So some people can come to me and say, I invented the most amazing golf ball. It does all these tricks and tips. It's going to build your game and make it a perfect whatever, right? And everybody in the world is going to want my golf ball,
Yeah.
right? But do you guys play golf?
No.
Not me.
No.
Okay. That's my point. So when you're on the golf course, everybody plays golf, right? But when you step out and you ask Kevin and Brian and myself, do you play golf? Not really, right? So it's niche. There could be a big enough window of opportunity within your niche, right? But how many different golf balls are there?
Right.
So it's not like this when I said how many people have a kitchen, right? It's here. You could still make money. So you got to make those type of decisions. Is it something to put your time, money, energy, effort into? And are you going to get the return? Is it something to license to earn royalties or maybe to manufacture? Who are you? Do you have the time, money, energy, and effort to put in? Or maybe you let somebody else do it. And those are the things that I kind of evaluate when I'm going through people's ideas. But I thought that was something really important because a lot of people come to me with very niche things. And I find a way to make it so it's not niche. Maybe it's something that included all this stuff. But now if you take it off, you can put it on everything that already exists out there instead of somebody having to buy a brand new one.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm
Right.
saying?
So
Or sometimes people come to me and they come up with an amazing invention, but the way this works now is one step, but you came up with something that's really cool and it's going to take me 3 or 4 more steps to do, and I have to take it apart and clean it. Is that something good? Is that an invention? Yes. Are you making my life easier? Maybe not. So those are the things that I evaluate. Like, was it simple enough to begin with, and you're making it more complicated for me? And that's the stuff that I really beat up to make sure that if we're going to work on it, that it's going to get some kind of return.
now, as
Hopefully.
a coach, what angle are you coming at all of this from?
Well, I say I am definitely not the guy to pat you on the back and make you feel good and tell you everything's great and wonderful. That's not
Yeah.
me. I tell you like it
Yeah.
is, and I don't have all the answers, okay? Because if I did, I might not be talking to you guys right now, but I could say that when I talk about things, I show fact and I put things in front of you for you to make a better decision to move forward with it or not. And I could do the best I can to kind of be intuitive to see it all the way here and then come back to where you are and then figure out what you need to do to get to where you want to go. That's my job. Okay. And I'm resourceful. I hustle. I make calls to, for licensing. I have connections for manufacturing. Like I can make anything at this point. For licensing, you just have to find the companies at the right time. And like I said earlier, those different parts of their business that have to check the boxes for them to do it. And if you do, like I've had a bunch of as seen on TV products myself. I have one of my inventions right now that are with one of the biggest as seen on TV companies, and they're doing a test. I'm very excited about it. So if it
Nice.
ends up doing well, hopefully we'll sell millions of units and I'll earn a royalty from it. And I can keep
Wow.
in coaching inventors and doing whatever I want to do, and that can earn royalties while they do what they do best.
Now, is the coaching very rewarding to you?
It is. One thing that I could say, especially not just um, look, even my own inventions, when I'm coming up with something, the most rewarding thing, Brian, is people using my invention for the reason I came up with it. I I, I love that, and I feel like that's the inspiration. I love to see people be successful. And that's something I don't know if I have it open because I went to a trade show and I think I brought it with me because I was speaking. But I just wanted to show you these are I came up with a snack container that opens up, and it you could put your cookies in here. So I have Cookie Monster, Elmo, all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, right?
Yeah.
I had these all right now. They're generic, but the point I was going to make is that going to Walmart and seeing these like hanging on the strip clips. and seeing a kid go, "Mommy, I want that." And the mommy goes,
Yeah.
"No, not today." And I'm like, I'll buy it for him, right? And I
Yeah.
rip it out, I give the kid the Elmo, and I take this to the register, and I paid for it, and I said, I invented this, snack container." It
Yeah.
was very nice. I paid for it. I also earned a royalty from it. So, but that those are
Nice.
the things, like it's very rewarding to work on people's dreams, but people also have to be realistic because when you're coming up with an invention, just like you guys, when you came up with this podcast before you really made it possible, it's an emotional feeling that you get like, oh my goodness, like let's do a podcast. It's going to be so freaking cool. We're going to get people to watch it and, follow us and all this stuff. It's emotional. But then there's the business side to it. So a lot of people work on their emotion and they don't think about the business part of it. And somebody says that's a great idea. That's great. If they tell you your idea sucks, you ever going to talk to them again? You know what I mean? So you got to
Yeah.
make business decisions. And that's what I do with people is to go through their ideas and figure out, I said it a few times, should you invest in this and are you going to get a return? And that's what I want to figure out with you. And again, I don't have all the answers, but based on my educated risk of figuring out and being intuitive and hearing the same things from people over 19, 20 years of doing this stuff, I feel like I'm in a really good position to give you great advice. And I'm very active on LinkedIn, which we're all on LinkedIn. I have a really good following base there, and I have newsletters and my app and National Inventor Club once a month. I do a live stream. Like I'm doing all this because I want people to get the right information. And there's a lot of noise in
Yeah.
everything and every industry, right? But I want to
Yeah.
be able to get right information. So if I have a question about trademarks, I'm going to get somebody from the US Patent and Trademark Office to be able to tell you about trademarks. You know what I mean? So as much as I can get the experts that are supposed to give you those answers to put it in front of you, that's what I do. And things that I know, I'm happy to share, but I like to get it from the sources and getting credible, relevant, timely information out to people. And one of the hot topics right now is AI, like inventing with AI. Is that your invention or is it AI's invention? And how much can you protect? And, exposing your idea to AI agents or platforms, like how protected are you? Those are the things that I'm kind of researching and getting deep into.
Yeah, I think AI is currently a minefield. So, for example, I don't know if you're into like Japanese cartoons,
Anime.
Miyazaki. Yeah, anime. He has a very unique art style, but people have been using AI to like create art based on that art style. So, I think that that could be like a lot of artists. They might not put their work online as much because they don't want it ripped off by AI and have people create.
Yeah. You gotta be careful, and that's why maybe patent protection or intellectual property protection, trademarks and things, copyrights, maybe those might be a little heavier coming up to make sure that your work is protected.
So for my final question, you kind of mentioned you showcased a couple of products. One had the Cookie Monster, the other had a Ninja Turtle. I think that
Yes.
could be, you know, a minefield for people that's not careful. Like, what is the process of using like somebody else's intellectual property into your own work?
Like, are you talking about, like, using Elmo or Cookie Monster like,
Right.
people like, "I came up with this invention, and I want the NBA," go Knicks, NFL, players or whatever, the teams or whatever on my new widget, right? So that's something that's called brand property licensing. So that means that I invented this container. I wish I had it close by without getting up to show you how it works. It basically opens. It's like a ball that opens, and you put your snacks in or cookies, and you close it, and you can carry it around and walk around, right? So I designed this container. Then I brought it to a company that was in does containers, and they liked it. And I said it would look really cool to have a face on it. They're like, we have the perfect face. We're in the middle of doing a deal with Sesame Street, and Nickelodeon, right? So
Wow.
so now I gave them the rights to my intellectual property. They manufacture this, they distribute it. They had to pay every time one of these sells, they have to pay me and Sesame Street. So that's brand property licensing. I'm product licensing my invention. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm the licensor. And so is Sesame Street because they also have a brand, right? They have their intellectual property. So they're the licensor, I'm the licensor, and the company that manufactures this and distributes it, you can call them the licensee.
Wow. Very informative. I didn't know that.
So,
Good. I
well, Brian Russick, did you have any final question?
I guess, Elder Brian, main question would be, okay, so someone's coming into this investor field, or inventor, I mean, someone is coming into this inventor field and they think they have a great idea and they want to go like full steam ahead. What do you typically tell those type of people that are like really gung-ho about it? They're really excited. They're like, oh, this is going to sell millions or billions of copies. What do you say to that person?
it sounds like the couple calls earlier today call that I got. Um I need to understand because everybody starts off where they're going to sell millions and millions of these things
Right,
or
millions
whatever it
of
is,
them.
right?
Yeah, right,
And
right.
I love that and I appreciate that. But where are you right now? Well, it's an idea in my head. Okay, so we have a little work to do, right? Or
Yeah,
I have a
yeah,
prototype. I have a prototype,
right.
I have a patent, I have CAD files. Okay, so you're further along. And that's the thing,
Yeah,
Brian. Every product and every person is different financially, time, life, lifestyle. Everybody's different. So this isn't a textbook answer. I figure things out with them and discuss and help them to make better decisions. And when I do my sessions with people, when they're done, they they know what their options are. If they need me afterwards, I'm around. You want a license? I will act as a licensing agent and I can try to get a licensing deal. Most of the times, it's not that easy, but I'll try and you'll get good answers from top companies. Sometimes they answer and sometimes they tell me to F off, right?
yeah.
Or they don't answer.
No, that
Um,
seems really useful.
what's that?
Oh, what are you just talking about?
Oh, yeah, and then on the other side, it's, do you have the time and do you wanna build a business? And so people will have me turnkey manufacture for them. Sometimes they strict wanna work with a factory in the US because they don't want to get ripped off in another country, but when you think of and, if I can manufacture in the US, I absolutely will, and I'm doing even harder now to manufacture in the US, right? The push for it. But here's the thing. If I make something in overseas and it's here and you like it, you can ship it to a factory overseas and make the same thing, right? That's
Yeah,
why in my opinion, if you can try to get intellectual property protection like a patent, then do it. And if you're not into that, then you're at risk, right? The design patent is good, it's ornamental. You change the design enough, somebody else can do something similar. The utility patents, most of the time, with good claims, you can protect yourself a little more and have more control and have kind of a monopoly on your idea. And if somebody infringes, yeah, it might cost some money to protect it, but that's something that those are decisions that you have to decide. But look, for me, you want to you want to work from power, not fear, right? You want to keep
right.
moving
Yeah.
forward. And do you assume everybody's bad people and going to rip you off? Or do you want to
No.
think that people are going to love your idea and buy it and you're going to make a living from it? You can balance those things. But if you focus on the left side, you might be, you might never do anything. And those are
Right.
the woulda, coulda, shouldas, right? So if you're
So
doing the
you
right
must
thing,
talk to people all the time that are kind of like that. It's like, oh, I have this great idea, I have this great idea. But then you're like, where are you though in the actual process?
yep, all day long.
All day
Absolutely.
long.
Yeah, it's true. But
Interesting.
but I, again, you have to understand the person and the product and the industry, and that's what I do. And I mentioned earlier, I tell it like it is. You can feel good and all that is great, and you're excited, but now it's business, right? It's showtime. Like now you're going to start putting money in. Is this what you want to do? And it's okay if it's not, because if you're in this zone of coming up with ideas, then you'll come up with another one. That's how it
Right.
is, right? And you won't make, and that's why I do what I do what I do is like, in the beginning I made a lot of mistakes and I spent a lot of money. And then I started to have some levels of success and people started to ask me for help. And I realized that I'm onto something here. There's a lot of people like me, but I don't want them to make the same mistakes. And then it just kept
Yeah.
going and going. And I listened to all these
Wow.
stories and I talked to successful people and I pick their brain and I learn what they've done successfully. And then I also hear the mistakes and the challenges and the trials and tribulations out there to learn from other people.
I think
And
that's why
that's how
teaching
you become an expert, right?
That's why teaching is so important. Like me with teaching drums, you show someone how to fish. You don't give them the fish. You show them how do you fish? How do you play this exercise? How do you play this drum fill? And once they get it, once it clicks, it's like, oh, okay, Brian, like, so it's like this, right? And I'm like, yeah, you got it. You got it. And there's no better feeling than that. Like I just posted a drum video of my 10-year-old student, this kid, Moses, and he's playing in church and he's just going at it. He's keeping good time, drum fills thrown in, like just all very tasteful. And that brings a lot of light out of me to see, all right, this kid is improving, he's doing well, he's thriving, all under, you know, all under my lessons, basically.
Well, you're doing that here with this podcast. You're sharing knowledge. It doesn't have to necessarily come from you, but you're bringing in experts to be able to help other people move forward with what they're doing and learning and nurturing. And I'm 51, and I decided 2 years ago that I was going to go back and take my master's because I'm interested. I'm not interested. I will teach. I want to be a professor at a university and teach innovation, entrepreneurship, invention. And in order to do that, I need to get my master's. So I'm in the middle of taking my master's one class at a time. It's painful, but I'm getting it done.
You're
and
getting
and
it done. That's awesome.
yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
and I get to take fun classes like the one I'm taking right now, which is done in a couple of weeks. Is called design thinking. So it's not just coming up with an idea and how you feel, but it's getting everybody and everything else around you to justify and kind of empathize with what you came up with to figure out if it's something that you should move forward with or not. So it's important, and that's what we're all doing is teaching. That's how people network and connect with each other, and that's why I invented my app to be able to have people help each other. So we're all in this together.
Yeah, man, you shared countless incredible lessons. Before we get out
Yeah.
of here, if somebody wants to book with you and work with you, where can they find you at?
You could go to my website, brianfried.com, Brian, F as in Frank, RIED.com. My app, you can find it on Google Play or Apple App Store, Inventor Smart Community. I have an e-learning course. I have my books on Amazon. The latest one, which is I'm really proud of, is How to Make Money with Your Invention Idea. You can just Google my name on there. Um, National Inventor Club. I do once a month live streams. I have amazing guests. Like for all you coders and programmers out there, like you might be interested in, um, you know, or if you're an inventor with a product, like I have amazing guests coming up the next few months. Like I have somebody from Amazon to teach you, like, if you have an idea or you have a product, what it's like to be an Amazon seller. I have an executive from the Small Business Administration that's coming on to talk about grants and resources that are available, and business plans, and all things that are available to you, free resources from the government. I've done hundreds of interviews myself with experts and people that are relevant topics for entrepreneurship, invention, and they're all available for you. You just find stuff on YouTube and Google stuff on me that I've interviewed people. Like, I'm doing the
Yeah.
same thing as you, is just getting that information out to people so they
You're a
can.
teacher. Yeah, you're at your core, you're a teacher.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Whenever you want to come back, just let us know.
A
Well,
lot
what are you
more we
doing?
could dive into. Yeah, a lot more topics
Awesome.
we could really explore, and I think our listeners, our viewers would probably love to hear more about this because, I think everyone has that childlike part of them that you want to create, you want to invent, but like you said, people don't know where do you go, what do you do, how do you get from step one to step two.
Yeah,
The
before we
first thing Yeah, the first thing is coming up with the idea, right? And being aware, because you can come up with something and somebody honks the horn at you or somebody calls you, poof, the idea is gone. So you want to be
Yeah.
able to capture that. That's one of the hardest parts. And then the next hardest part is going on and seeing if it's out there already. And that part sucks, but it's better off that you know in the beginning.
Yeah.
absolutely, and we like to thank everybody for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.